Conflict handling styles are those overarching approaches that we typically take when we're faced with a conflict or even any type of negotiation. This basic construct that there are 5 main styles or patterns of behaviors has remained quite consistent for over half a century, and indeed it's gaining more validity over that time. Our own conflict handling styles tend to change and evolve over time. They are influenced by the particular context or the issues at hand. It's important to remember that our own individual conflict handling style is not who we are, it's merely a set of dispositions or preferences. People with a style of collaboration are likely to spend more time with the conflict. They're likely to perceive its detail, to take the time to look for options, at times be a bit creative with their solutions and try to look for answers that meet the other person's interests while not taking their own interests off the table. After hearing that, you might think, isn't collaboration always the best approach in a conflict? In many occasions it is, but only if there is trust between the parties, because collaborative approaches are predicated on there being good faith. Only if people have the time to collaborate, because collaboration requires time to explore issues and generate options. Only if people are willing to communicate, and it's supported by the context. There are some contexts where collaborative approaches aren't supported, like some custodial, military, or other particularly hierarchical or competitive contexts. Collaboration is often good, but it's not always the best approach. People with a style of competing or contending are more likely to bring everything they have in order to get the best outcome for themselves or their party, even if it's at the expense of the other party. Competing or contending tactics are certainly associated with conflict escalation, but there may be occasions where they're appropriate in the context. For example, when quick decisive action is vital, or on important issues where unpopular action is needed. Or with people who might otherwise take advantage of non-competitive tactics. So sometimes competing is the right approach. People with a style of avoiding are likely to see the potential benefits of entering a conflict as being outweighed by the risks or the costs. So, they'll tend to delay getting involved just to see how it plays out. Now, this can be the best choice when the issues are trivial and there's more important issues that are pressing. When potential disruption of weighing into a conflict outweighs any of the possible rewards to let people cool down and gain perspective. When further information is needed before intervening, or when others can resolve a conflict more effectively. Even when the issues are merely symptomatic of larger problems that need addressing. So often a decision to avoid a conflict is strategically quite appropriate. People with an accommodating or a yielding position are likely to handle conflict by yielding or accommodating to the interests of the other party, even if it means they walk away with a less than ideal resolution. Now, there are some obvious limitations to this sort of lose-win approach, but there may be times when accommodating is the best style. Such as when you're wrong and you need a better position to be heard, when you need to reflect or appear reasonable. When the issues are more important to the other party than they are to yourself. It's important to build credit to minimize loss when you're outmatched and losing, to essentially cut your losses and accommodate. When harmony and stability are what's important at that particular point, or even sometimes to allow subordinates to learn from their mistakes. If you're supervising somebody who wants to go a certain way, you can see it's not the right way, but they might need to learn from that. People with this style of compromising are likely to approach conflict as a give and take. I'll be happy to give you some of what you want, so long as I get some of what I want, even if that means we both walk away not entirely satisfied but happy enough. This can even be at times framed as a lose-lose situation, but compromising as a style certainly has its place in the strategic landscape. It can be engaged to achieve temporary settlement to complex issues. It can facilitate quick solutions when here's time pressures. You don't have time to surface all the complexity, you just need to resolve an issue. It can be useful when some goals are important but not worth the disruption of full-on assertiveness, i.e., I just need to get this agreement. The takeaway message of this is there's no right or wrong style. Overall, each has their benefits and their limitations relative to the issues or facts at hand. The goal of the conflict practitioner is to be able to achieve a deliberate practice of choosing the best style for the context and then adapting their tactics to be consistent with that approach. Conflict styles key points. Everybody has a natural approach or disposition towards one of these styles, but they're just preferences, not who we are. No one style is inherently better or worse, it is all about context. The goal is to be self-aware of your own style, and other-aware, and be able to adapt your tactics or response to the most appropriate style. If a situation calls for a style you are not comfortable in, using your team to identify others who may be more appropriate to engage in the negotiation/situation.